Hey everybody, thanks for clicking on Storm Talk. This is Wave 3 News meteorologist Brian Good. Hope you're enjoying our new look here at Wave 3 News. Today was the first day of it, and you'll see more today beginning at 5 and much more in general. We've got a lot of cool little toys and tools to share with you guys and hopefully make your day easier in planning and to keep you safe too in severe weather. All right, for Storm Talk, it hasn't changed. It's still the same. Here are the graphics though. Severe risk, we'll talk more detail in a second on that. Mainly southern Indiana and a good chunk of wave country, in fact, for the next 12 to 18 hours. Tomorrow, the risk goes to the east. Marginal risk in southeast areas, slight risk into areas of West Virginia. And that's really ahead of a front that's moving in. We'll talk about that front as well coming up. And then look at that, Wednesday, we benefit from that front. No humidity, or at least lower humidity. You always pretty much have humidity. Lower humidity means it's going to feel a lot better as we head into Wednesday compared to what it has been. All right, let's talk about the severe risk, though, for this afternoon and tonight. We're under the slight risk as it stands now. Good chunk of wave country in that yellow zone. As far as the threats go, this is a twofold deal. I have a time on here of 3 p.m. to 3 a.m. because I think there's two periods to watch out for. Late this afternoon, early evening, and then again with an area of low pressure moving in after midnight. Those two could give us some isolated warnings for the following: damaging winds and flash flooding. The isolated tornado thread's on there because of the afternoon stuff more than anything. There's a slight chance we could have a brief spin up, but I got to stress, I was debating even putting it on there because it looks to be very, very marginal, if anything at all. But either way, we are watching that as well. All right, here's a look at the radar. Nice and quiet. Nothing going on. But when you look at the satellite image from space, a couple things you notice here. First off, notice that the sun is breaking out in Indiana, has been for a while. If you look real carefully, you can actually see a few little bright little dots there. That's the cumulus clouds trying to bubble up, reacting to the heat and humidity in Indiana. More of a hazy sky along I-64, including Louisville, and then you're back into that sunshine, humid atmosphere south of the parkways, and you're getting the cumulus clouds bubbling up. So, two areas that will likely see thunderstorms generate first would likely be here, Indiana, where you're getting the heating, and then off to the south. Louisville is a little iffy, although the cloud layer is thinning. Our ceiling now is up to about 16,000 feet, so it is thinning out, so we very well could end up putting the whole area into that risk for pop-up thunderstorms to develop or a line to our west to mature and move in, and that's what we're watching for. Here's that line to our west. This is one of two pieces to this low pressure, basically, it's moving through. This first part here has really begun to fade out as it's approaching the Wabash, but again, we've noticed with the heating taking place in Indiana, this may try to regenerate this afternoon. We'll wait and see if that happens. This has certainly gotten stronger, but overall, I think it's really going to feed on the heat and humidity here in Kentucky, from Litchfield, Bowling Green, back through Cave City, Central City, back into Paducah. That is the area I think we'll see new development begin to react to the heating as this wave heads eastbound. Then, after we get past that wave, there's a couple scenarios we could be facing tonight. Let me show you what I'm referring to here. All right. First off, here is the first wave that's coming through, and here is the next piece of energy that's going to pass through later tonight. Now, what could happen, I'm discussing scenarios, this first wave will likely kick up, react to the heat and instability we have here across Kentucky and Indiana, and may leave what we call a tail dragging behind it here across Kentucky. So by the time it moves eastward, say this is about 6 to 8 o'clock this evening, moves over I-65, it may have a tail of moisture or a boundary kind of sneaking on the southern side. Got to watch that because that may stay active all the way through the evening through midnight. Meanwhile, the second piece is going to get going here this afternoon, and it's going to move at us. Now, here's the issue. Is the second piece going to make it all the way here, or is the rain we could get this afternoon going to weaken this second piece to where the second piece is not a big deal? Or could it maintain itself and collide with this east-west boundary that's kind of stuck over Kentucky? And if that's the case, that would actually enhance the flash flooding threat for those of you in Kentucky versus Indiana later on tonight. I hope that made sense. Logan? Logan's our intern. Does that make sense, Logan? No, okay. Sorry. I get geeky sometimes, you know? I'm
a little bit.
in therapy for it. All right, here's the latest on two of our short-term models. RPM it brings in a wave mainly for our southern counties. You saw it breeze by there pretty quick. Then it quiets things down, but it's really focused more on the second wave later tonight. But you see that east-west orientation. I really am concerned about that for flash flooding potential, and along with the severe risk, but I think more so for the flash flooding potential that could set up. Let's hope this is progressive enough that it doesn't cause any major headaches. Here, and then we move out of that phase, and then tomorrow is the actual cold front that moves in from the north for Tuesday. That could kick up thunderstorms ahead of it, and a few of those could be gusty. I don't think severe weather is going to be a big deal tomorrow because the angle this front's moving in, not as much wind shear. But this front is going to clear things out humidity-wise, so it's a good thing for tomorrow. All right, here's the other short range. It is focusing on more so the afternoon activity moving through across Indiana into Kentucky, maybe a little slower, maybe too slow. This is probably closer to maybe 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening. It says 9 o'clock, but I think it's a little too slow with this. Either way, as it moves through, it's bringing that second piece to combine with that after midnight tonight. And again, here's my concern, is that the two, if the boundary gets left behind, that tail does, and that second piece moves in, we could see an enhanced flash flooding threat for at least a period. Even though technically the flash flood watch is along and east of I-65, I wouldn't rob those of you from Brandenburg and Hardinsburg that could be in that zone 2 for maybe some flash flooding. So we'll see how that plays out, and then it's out of here. Looking at more at the severe parameters, I mean, wind shear is not overly off the chart here. It's very, very marginal, especially in the afternoon, evening time frame. With the core of the low, we may go up to about 30 knots, maybe 35. Not a big deal. This is what I think is more the kicker for us today, is the downdraft cape. All right, this is the ability for the heat and humidity to build into these cumulus clouds, get them into large cumulonimbus clouds, and they can put down a tremendous amount of wind when the downdraft kicks in or the storm begins to collapse. And it'll go through phases. And that downdraft cape is pretty elevated now across central Kentucky. So that is concerning for that some of these storms that move in this afternoon can produce some warnings because of that very issue. So that is worth watching. But notice the downdraft cape drops off dramatically because it's raining now in Illinois. It says it's going to fall apart, but it builds back up again ahead of the low for areas to our west. So this first wave will move through. We may see some more severe weather break out in Missouri and Illinois later today because they'll get a chance to recover and break out in sun. If we get rain this afternoon and toward the evening, we're not going to have a chance to really recover. So I think our second piece of severe weather is going to be much more reduced compared to the first piece. Moisture convergence, we look at this to see how the cumulus clouds are colliding together, trying to form thunderstorms basically. It's a good tool to really pick out where thunderstorms are likely to develop next in a very short term period. And convergence is picking up here where that sun's out. So we're very likely to see some more cells pop in this area of Kentucky. And it's trying to pick up on some activity in Indiana. I may try to develop. I think it's the value is pretty low at a 5, so it's maybe just a couple of cumulus clouds is what's picking up on. All right, as far as tornado threat, the reason why I put the tornado threat in there is an isolated threat, not a big deal. It's because with this wave coming through, there is some natural directional shear, but it's not off the charts, very weak. But when you get these storm cells with very weak helicity like this that collide into other cells, you can actually get some slight enhancement for a brief period on the radar to produce maybe a tornado warning. And most of these cases, they don't even produce a tornado. But it may trigger a warning just because the idea the radar will detect it, and that's what we got to do. We got to, make sure warn you guys just in case. But that's kind of scenario. It's very weak helicity, but colliding cells could allow for maybe some brief rotations with that scenario. All right, so once you get past this mess today and then tomorrow, it's the cold front that'll move through, and then after that, Wednesday, we get a chance to enjoy lower humidity along with some sunshine. I wish it would last, but it's not, because a warm front's going to come back sometime Thursday or Friday, give us back the humidity and increase our temperatures, and yes, increase the daily chance for thunderstorms. All right, guys, that's it for now. We'll keep an eye on things. Much more today beginning at 5.